Hi there everyone, welcome back to the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage YouTube channel. Well, I have gotten what I feel like are great results for the inside um, leaves or lid openings of this table. And now I am saving the best for last. Well, we hope it's the best. I am going to be applying this method to the top of the table. This is where a lot of the fancy patterning was done for these tables. You can imagine it in a Singer showroom. Just beautiful, dazzling under lights and tempting someone to like, this sure would look beautiful in your home. Keep in mind that, people back in the day, most people did not have massive homes, and they would often need to display or place their sewing machine and its table, if they had one, in the main living room or family room of a home. So they cared a lot about how it looked, and this is why they were so adamant at times about hiding the machine away when they weren't using it. Today, many of us, I love to any machine I have on display. I love to show it, but back in the day, it was it was a machine. It was a tool, and people wanted their sewing furniture to look like it belonged. So I'm going to use this same approach I had. So I have my microfiber towel, but it could be a cotton washcloth or whatever, or you may have a sponge that you can use. I'm just sort of making a padded piece here, and I'm gonna come over to the other end of this sandpaper. This is wet dry sandpaper, 800 grit, so it's a very fine. They make I have another one which is like 1,000 grit, but they make sandpaper. This is it's often used for very fine levels of sanding when you're not really. I don't want to remove this veneer or the color. I'm trying to break through the clear coat that has clearly seen better days. And this is after I used the Restore Finish. I tried it with the microfiber towel, and it looks much better than it did. If you go back and see what it looked like when I was first experimenting. But now I want to try this method that I've used on the inside and see if that helps. Again, wanting to be mindful and careful of this beautiful veneer that I don't want to remove. So I've got my Restore Finish. And again, Restore Finish will tell you, do not pour Restore Finish onto the surface. And normally I don't. I put it on a rag. But I'm going to do this because I'm trying to do a wet sanding technique here. And I have to be careful not to pour too much. I can always come back with more. So you might be better off taking a rag and seeing if that works better for you. So I'm just going to focus on, in fact, I'll move up the short leaf there and see how this works. One of the things that I know the Restore Finish folks will tell you is that when you're trying to remove the white staining that is often left when water or moisture gets on a piece of furniture like this, you can actually use steel wool to remove it. This one has it. In fact, I don't know if you guys can make it out, but it's sitting right here. It's a ghost, I think they call them ghost rings, but it's someone put something down that was wet, and that moisture got behind the clear coat and became trapped there. That's why they look that way, but they can be removed. And of course, when you have a liquid with wet sanding, right, you have a fine sandpaper, but you also get something that is, less abrasive. The Restore Finish is acting a bit like a lubricant. Now, I haven't broken out fully this ghost moisture ring, but I'm giving it my best shot here. All right. Now, I'm going to come back, and I left this lower portion down here untouched because I want to, let's see if we can see a difference. Contrast can help you often helps us remember what we had before. And remember, I've already treated this whole entire tabletop with Restore Finish, so it's not like this area down below has not had any, because sometimes when the wood is dry and you apply something like this product, you know, you get a deepening and a darkening of the finish. But what I really want to see is how much of a difference did this make in, you know, the crazing and cracking. So let's take a look and see what we can see in terms of a difference. Again, this was gone over with microfiber. You can still see the crazing here, which I had it, like I say, it was all up in here, and now I don't see it. So far, unless it reappears, so far I'm quite pleased with this. Now, I still see, I wonder, I think you guys can see it right here. There's like a white ring. I'm probably going to have to be more aggressive with the sandpaper or steel wool in order to break that moisture ghost ring or ghost mark, whatever it's called. So, but I'm going to let this, I'm going to finish the rest of this top here, this piece here, and then I will, I'm going to let this dry and then come back to it, and then we'll see if in fact, just put a little bit of the Restore Finish on the sandpaper itself. And I'm going to go ahead and finish this front section here. Whoops, I'm spilling it up here, no worries. We'll pull back just a bit so you guys can see a little bit more. And I'm going with the grain of the wood, obviously. That's something you want to do. That's true when you're polishing, cleaning, waxing. The grain of the wood is, you don't want to fight against it. A little bit more down on here. And when I have more of the Restore Finish, more of the liquid down, I can press a little harder with the sandpaper. It seems to want to work more for me when it has a little bit of this product as a lubricant. And while we're at it, of course, we have this edge here that should be addressed. And I think for the edge, I'm going to see if I can address that, but with just the sandpaper alone and without having to use the rolled up towel. Let's see how that works. I'll just put a little bit of this. This is, you know, like the sandpaper is not really going to absorb the liquid. I'm just sort of literally putting it on the surface there. And then I'll come here along the edge, and because the edge is very likely a different wood than the veneer. And these woods were carefully stained in the factory so that they would match. So if you ever see sections of a piece of furniture, any piece of furniture, including this, that where the colors look slightly different, it's usually because the grain of the wood is different. It reflects light differently, and it absorbs stain or absorbs just about anything differently. Coming back over to that watermark there. Again, trying to do something that is going to improve the look of the table without stripping it. I have no interest in starting from scratch. Stripping a table has their benefits, but of course there's also risk to it. And sometimes part of that risk is causing damage. All right, I'm going to come over here, and I'm basically coming over with the rag, pulling off any of the sand, very fine grit that may have come off that sandpaper. And then I'm going to come back with, I'll just use my cotton. I don't need the microfiber for this. I'm going to come back with my microfiber towel. The color of the restore finish I'm using right now says walnut. They have walnut, they have dark walnut, cherry, mahogany. There's a lot of red tone in this wood. In fact, you have to remember they'll use a certain wood, but then the color of the stain can sometimes, trick you into thinking it's a different wood, right? It may have a reddish tone, but that doesn't mean it's made from cherry, which we sometimes associate with that. Look, I feel like I'm getting more of that ghost mark out, but some of it's still there. Okay, and again, keep in mind I have yet to, I think I see another sort of a ghost mark here. It may not show up on the camera for you guys, but there we go. I'm quite pleased. I believe it's quite an improvement, and in looking at the other part of the tabletop or leaf or whatever you want to describe it as, you can see the contrast of what this side looked like and now what it used to look like and what it does now, and I'm quite pleased with that. This product is a very forgiving one. It is one of the things I like about it. It's gentle, but it has an impact. And I believe, and I will be coming back, and of course, and I'll do this section as well. And when I come back, we'll have the entire table should be ready. The legs look great. I'll just go over them lightly, but I don't see any major scratches or scuffs on that part. So if you have a vintage sewing table and you're not happy with how it looks, or you want to display it and you want it to be gorgeous, this is one of the ways you can do it. And again, I would strongly suggest that you start with the Howard's Restore Finish and just a rag, because a lot of times that will take care of a lot of things. You can use maybe a denim rag, an old denim rag that has a little texture, or even microfiber towel. Again, never on your machines, but on something like this, it seems to help. I ended up needing to use, you could use 800 or even 1000 grit wet dry sandpaper, and that was my technique. Now that it's drying, you'll notice it's a little hazy, because I had to go in. This process scuffed. It did not remove the clear coat, but it did sort of scuff or break into the surface of it. And of course, I'll be coming back with more of the Restore Finish just on a rag. And then once that's dried, I'll wipe that, of course, with my flannel rags or whatever I have in cotton. And once that's dry, the next day I'll come back with the feed and wax, and the table should be ready for the machine, which is almost ready. To go back inside, and I will be making a debut video for this lovely 201, and hopefully I'll find a new owner for it who will appreciate that a lot of work was done to get this machine ready again. People sometimes when they are looking at machines that I list when they're available, they don't realize just how much goes into a restoration of the machine, and sometimes the tables are fine. I don't really have a lot to do with them, but this one, especially with its just glorious, that incredible burled pattern there, I wanted to bring that back. And I've had much more intense projects where I had to actually get paint off of a table to reveal incredible veneers. But in this case, it was basically just not given much love, at least in more recent decades, but now it's being shown the respect it needs to have, because these tables are incredibly well made, and there's no reason to abuse them or to trash them, because your sewing machine needs to live somewhere, and they are heavy beasts. So thank you all for watching, and if you haven't subscribed, feel free to click that little subscribe button there on the channel. And if you'd like to donate to my channel, just click on the Buy Me a Coffee link. It'll take you directly to my own Buy Me a Coffee page, which has my lovely two-tone Singer 301 there. You'll recognize it. And consider donating to help my efforts. I have to purchase virtually every machine that I restore. And then get them listed and find new homes for them. And your support will help me to keep doing that and expand the reach of the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage as we try to save more or as many as we can, of these incredible examples of consumer products from once upon a time. Thank you all for watching, everybody. We'll see you later.